Chapter 5 was on clinical information systems, and the topic I would like to focus on is electronic health records, also known as EHR. And so the textbook talked about how many clinical studies have shown that having paper-based patient records has led to many problems. And so I can support this statement because in one of my pharmacy classes, we learned about statistics and how to dissect um, scientific papers. And so in that class, we also had a couple lectures on EHR. And so through studies, we see that EHR has improved patient outcomes, has led to less medication errors, and has led to the ability for health providers or organizations and companies to share information among each other for the same patient so that there's no loss of information and there's no duplication of information. Um, so, so what is so specific about EHR is that it has core functions. And so it's not a replication of a paper patient documentation. So it's not to say that EHR is a digital representation of it, because EHR has a lot more functions than just a replication of a paper documentation. And so the textbook focuses on 4 core functions. Those 4 are health information and data, results management, order entry and support, and decision support. And so one example of health information data is on page 137 for figure 5.1. It's shown right here, this one. It gives an example of sample drug alert screen. And so this is actually a very good example of what happens in clinical practice. And so many times a doctor will prescribe amoxicillin and the patient has the amoxicillin allergy. And so he'll prescribe it and enter the order without really checking any DDIs, without really checking any past medical history for any allergies. And so when the pharmacist will enter the order and try to do dosing, the EHR will actually flag that the patient has an amoxicillin allergy. And so this is very useful because EHR has this very unique function of checking allergies, for checking drug-drug interactions, for checking many things that obviously a paper documentation cannot do. And so it makes the pharmacist's job and any healthcare provider, the nurse, doctor, anyone that's using the EHR system, it makes their job a lot easier, and it really benefits the patient because it leads to less medication errors and better patient outcomes. The other example is seen right under it, figure 5.2, right here. And this is an example of an EHR screen. And so one of the core functions of an EHR system is results management. And so we see from that example that a patient's lab results and vital signs will be put on the EHR. And so what happens in real life practice is that when the lab values and vital signs are inputted into the EHR from the laboratory in the hospital, many times the EHR system will actually flag any abnormal numbers. And so this makes the healthcare provider who's looking at the lab values, it makes their job a lot easier. Yes, healthcare providers are trained to memorize lab values and know what's normal and what's abnormal. But a lot of times when you're looking through many lab values and vital signs and numbers, you're bound to miss something. And so the EHR actually flags if the number is abnormal. And it's just a lot easier for the healthcare provider to see it, and it's a lot harder to miss. And so EHR has really shown to improve patient outcomes and make patient data storage easier and more convenient among healthcare providers and healthcare organizations. And so we can obviously see why the future of healthcare is pushing for all hospitals, all AmCare clinics, all long-term healthcare homes, pretty much all healthcare organizations. The future of all of healthcare, we're pushing towards EHR, and it's because of the great patient benefits and outcomes.